There is an ancient, silent power deeply feared by the structures that govern the world. It is not wealth, not armies, not visible influence. It is something more intimate, more dangerous, the awakening of a mind that perceives itself as sovereign. Since the first empires, this knowledge has been concealed because one who rules their own mind does not kneel before external idols. Today, the crossing toward this forgotten secret begins. The ancients knew that the greatest battlefield was not territory, but the interior of man. Invisible wars are fought there, where desires, fears, and ambitions dispute the throne of consciousness. When the mind remains asleep, it obeys. When it awakens, it governs. This is the point where man ceases to be an instrument and becomes a cause, not through rebellion, but through strategic clarity. This power was called by many names throughout the centuries, yet all avoided speaking it openly. Some called it the divine spark, others the sovereign principle. Here we call it the inner God, not a religious God, but the supreme capacity to observe, decide, and act without emotional submission. Awakening this force is not comfort. It is accepting the weight of authority over one's own destiny. Most live in a state of social hypnosis, reacting to stimuli they never chose. Ready-made opinions, manufactured desires, inherited fears. Awakening begins when a man realizes that most of his thoughts do not belong to him. This moment is uncomfortable, almost violent, but it is necessary. No inner empire is built upon comforting illusions. Truth, when it emerges, does not ask permission. Machiavelli understood that true power is not born from brute force, but from precise reading of human nature. One who masters himself does not need to visibly dominate others. The awakened mind learns to observe without reacting, to listen without revealing itself, to act without exposure. This is the beginning of inner divinity, strategic silence combined with absolute clarity of intention. Awakening does not occur through grand rituals, but through small repeated decisions. Denying useless impulses, controlling the tongue when the ego demands speech, remaining firm when emotion demands escape. Each act of self-control strengthens the inner core. Little by little, the mind ceases to be invaded territory and becomes a fortress. There is no greater tyranny than a mind that governs itself. There is a high price for this path, and few are willing to pay it. Awakening distances a man from the masses, not through arrogance, but through incompatibility. The awakened mind sees patterns where others see chance. It perceives power games before they reveal themselves. This generates solitude, but also freedom. And freedom, as the ancients knew, is always a burden for the strong. The inner God does not shout, does not demand worship, does not promise easy rewards. It observes, it weighs consequences, it chooses the exact moment. When the mind awakens, man ceases to be hostage to the immediate and begins to operate in the long term. This expanded vision is feared by systems because it cannot be bought, rushed, or manipulated by cheap emotions. The greatest mistake is believing that this power serves to dominate the external world. In truth, it serves to not be dominated by it. The awakened mind understands that those who react lose, those who explain themselves weaken, and those who expose themselves become predictable. Here lies the obscure secret. The true inner God manifests in restraint, not excess, in strategy, not impulse. This knowledge survived because it was never delivered to the masses. It passes from prepared mind to prepared mind, not through elitism, but necessity. A sleeping mind turns power into destruction. An awakened mind turns silence into influence. From here, the journey deepens. What has been revealed so far is only the surface of the awakening that approaches. The first sign of awakening is not power, but discomfort. The mind begins to reject easy explanations and suspect collective certainties. What once seemed normal now feels staged. This internal friction is essential, for it reveals that consciousness no longer accepts invisible commands. Those who cross this stage understand that truth is rarely welcoming, but always liberating. The awakened man learns to distinguish desire from direction. He no longer confuses impulse with purpose. While many chase the immediate, he observes the flow of time as a strategist observes the field before battle. This conscious pause creates advantage. There is no haste where there is clarity. The inner God strengthens when a man chooses the moment, not when he reacts to it. Nothing threatens a system more than someone who cannot be easily provoked. The awakened mind masters the art of imperturbability. Insults, empty promises, and emotional pressure lose their effect, not through coldness, but through understanding. The man begins to see the game behind the words. This lucidity turns silence into a weapon and patience into invisible dominance. Machiavelli knew that one who controls emotions controls destiny. The awakened mind does not eliminate feelings, but subjects them to strategic reason. Fear, anger, and desire cease to command decisions. They become information, not orders. This is a decisive point. When emotion obeys, the mind governs, and where there is inner governance, there is no external chaos. Awakening also reveals an uncomfortable truth. Many bonds exist only to keep a man predictable. The sovereign mind begins to distance itself from what weakens it, even if this costs social comfort. This withdrawal is not contempt, but necessity. Inner power is not built in environments that demand constant validation. Strategic solitude becomes a silent ally. The inner God manifests when a man assumes total responsibility for his choices. There is no more room to blame the world, the past, or others. This acceptance is heavy, but liberating. By taking command of his own life, the individual ceases to be a piece and becomes a player. And players do not ask the board for permission to move. Over time, the awakened mind realizes that most disputes are irrelevant. Winning arguments rarely generates power. Mastering oneself always does. The strategic man chooses battles that expand his position, not his ego. This conscious selection preserves energy and builds lasting influence. True dominance is not measured by visible victories, but by silent internal control. Mental clarity brings with it a new relationship with time. The awakened man is not hostage to the present, nor anxious about the future. He acts in the present with long-range vision. This ability to foresee consequences before they manifest distinguishes leaders from followers. Where others see urgency, he sees opportunity. Where there is chaos, he perceives structure. Few reach this stage because it demands constant renunciation, renouncing impulsiveness, the need for approval, and unnecessary exposure. Awakening is not spectacle, it is daily discipline. Each conscious choice strengthens the inner core. Thus, the inner God ceases to be a concept and becomes a living practice, reflected in firm attitudes and irreversible decisions. At this point in the journey, it becomes clear that the greatest secret was never hidden by force but by disinterest. Few want to pay the price of lucidity. The awakened mind does not promise comfort, but sovereignty, and sovereignty demands silent courage. The path continues forward, deeper and more demanding. Only those who understand the value of this awakening will proceed to the end. As the mind awakens, a new perception arises. Not everything should be revealed. The sovereign man learns that excess transparency weakens. Showing intentions too early hands advantage to the world. Thus, silence ceases to be absence and becomes conscious choice. He observes, accumulates understanding, and acts only when the action has already prevailed before being seen. The awakening of the inner God also transforms the relationship with external power. The man no longer bows to titles, applause, or status. He understands that symbols only hold power over those who need them. This psychological independence is unsettling, for it makes the individual unpredictable. One who does not depend on approval cannot be easily guided, bought, or intimidated. Machiavelli understood that appearance governs the masses, but essence governs destiny. The awakened mind learns to operate within this gap. It allows the world to see what is necessary, while preserving the untouched core. This separation is vital. Those who expose everything lose mystery. Those who conceal too much lose connection. Balance between the visible and the hidden is the art of true strategists. Over time, the awakened man begins to recognize subtle patterns of domination. He perceives how collective fear is used to direct behavior and how constant urgency prevents reflection. By refusing to react immediately, he breaks the cycle. This strategic pause restores something rare to the individual, the ability to choose consciously in a world that demands automatic responses. The inner God does not seek direct confrontation. It prevails through permanence. While many exhaust themselves trying to prove something, the sovereign man builds silent position. He understands that time favors those who know how to wait. This patience is not passivity but calculation. Each move is made when cost is minimal and impact is maximal. Thus, lasting power is built. To awaken the mind is to accept that not everyone will walk beside you. Some will drift away because they do not understand the change. Others will resist because they feel exposed. The lucid man does not try to convince. He continues forward. The need for approval dies when internal authority is born. And where there is internal authority, external noise loses relevance. The clarity achieved transforms simple decisions into strategic acts. Where doubt once existed, there is now criterion. Where reaction prevailed, intention emerges. The awakened man understands that small choices shape great destinies. It is not about controlling everything, but about controlling what matters. This focus reduces wasted energy and amplifies the effectiveness of each action. Few realize that the greatest enemy of awakening is constant distraction. A fragmented mind does not govern, it obeys. By reclaiming attention, man reclaims power. He begins to choose where his thoughts, time, and presence are placed. This mental discipline is the foundation of the inner God. Without it, all knowledge dissolves into noise. Awakening also redefines the concept of victory. Winning ceases to mean overcoming others and begins to mean not being dragged by them. The sovereign man measures success by internal stability amid external chaos. He remains whole where others fracture. This silent integrity is rare, and precisely for that reason powerful. At this stage, it becomes evident that the secret was never external. No ritual, master, or system grants awakening. It arises from the continuous decision to govern oneself. The awakened mind does not ask the world for permission to exist. It simply exists, observes, and acts. The path now narrows. Only those truly willing will advance beyond this point. The man who has awakened his mind no longer seeks to be understood. He knows that understanding is rare and often unnecessary. His priority shifts from acceptance to internal coherence. This change redefines his posture toward the world. He speaks less, observes more, and acts with precision. Where others seek validation, he builds silent position. The inner God matures when a man learns to face his own shadow. Hidden desires, denied ambitions, and ancient fears are confronted without illusion, not to be eliminated, but integrated. Those who flee from themselves remain vulnerable. Those who know themselves deeply drastically reduce the possibilities of external manipulation. Self-knowledge here is strategy. Machiavelli knew that the greatest error of a ruler is to ignore his own nature. The awakened mind neither pretends absolute virtue nor surrenders to chaos. It understands limits, inclinations, and weaknesses. This lucidity prevents excess and strengthens decisions. The sovereign man does not betray himself in the name of unattainable ideals. He governs with silent realism. Over time, the awakened man begins to see the world as it is, not as he wishes it to be. This vision may seem cold to the naive, but it is profoundly liberating. Illusion requires constant maintenance. Truth requires only acceptance. By abandoning collective fantasies, the mind becomes light, focused, and dangerously effective. Awakening also teaches when to retreat. Not every withdrawal is defeat. Sometimes it is strategic repositioning. The sovereign man understands that preserving internal resources is more valuable than winning useless disputes. He does not exhaust himself where there is no real gain. This ability to choose when not to act is a clear sign of inner mastery. The awakened mind realizes that the world constantly tests boundaries. Small concessions today become great submissions tomorrow. For this reason, the sovereign man establishes invisible but firm limits. He does not threaten, justify, or over-explain. His posture communicates enough. Where boundaries are clear, respect exists, even if silent. At this point, the inner God ceases to be a concept and becomes a constant presence. It guides choices, filters relationships, and shapes decisions. The man no longer loses himself in external noise. He knows who he is, what he accepts, and what he will never negotiate. This clarity creates a rare force, internal predictability combined with external unpredictability. Few reach this stage because the awakened mind demands continuous discipline. There is no final point, no permanent rest. Each day presents new temptations to abandon internal control. The sovereign man remains vigilant. He knows that power is not conquered once, it is sustained daily. Constant attention is the price of sovereignty. At the end of this journey, it becomes evident that true awakening does not turn man into something supernatural. It turns him into someone fully responsible for himself, free from illusions, firm amid chaos, and conscious of his own worth. The inner God does not dominate the world, it prevents the world from dominating the individual. If this knowledge resonated with you, leave in the comments what most awakened your mind throughout this journey. Like this video, so that more people may reach this silent clarity. Follow the channel if you seek content that does not bow to the superficial. And activate the notification bell. Here we do not speak to please, we speak to awaken.